Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This video is part of the playlist called SQL Mistakes to Avoid, and here we'll learn how to avoid using a reserved word, an Oracle reserved word for other purposes. So let's try executing this query from the supplier table, or on the supplier table. Select asterisk from supplier, where supplier name equals user, user being a string enclosed in a pair of single quotes. We see that there is no error. It's just that no rows were found matching the where condition, but nevertheless, there is no error. Okay, so in fact, this table is not empty. If I execute this, then there's something there, right? Just to show you it's not empty. It's just that this where condition doesn't find a match. So when we execute it, no rows are being returned. No problem with that. Now let's try this query, okay, from the same table. Select supplier ID, ID being an alias here, the second ID, an alias, comma, supplier name, and then user being an alias from supplier table. So when I execute this, I see an error. It says from keyword not found where expected. This seems strange because if I make another, if I go through my SQL statement, it seems to be that everything is in order. The syntax is correct. Select, and then there's a column name here, and then followed by an alias. The as keyword is optional, comma, and then a second column name here, and then an alias here, and then from the keyword, and then the table name. Everything seems to be in order, but strangely enough, when I execute this command, I get the error from keyword not found where expected, when in fact, it is in the place where it should be, the from keyword, right? So maybe we could, there are a couple of ways we could do to troubleshoot this or to get the root cause of this error. One is by isolation. We could comment the columns one by one until each one is working, and then we uncomment one by one. Okay, in this case, I only have a very simple example of a select statement consisting of two columns. So I can maybe comment on the second column, maybe, okay, right before the comma, and then see how it goes. So I'll comment to the second column. Now we're left with just one column being queried, okay? Now, I see no error. So that means there's nothing wrong with this part of the code, with this column at least. So let's try commenting this column and then uncommenting the second one. And I'm back to the same error. From keyword not found where expected. So although we're not at 100% certain, at least we're very sure that it's not caused by this column called supplier ID. And somehow the error is happening whenever this second column is being uncommented. So it could be this one, or it could be the alias, whatever it is. But still, we could see that the syntax is correct, right? Now, if I comment the alias, see what happens. Then there's no error. So select supplier name, blah, 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 blah. So there's no error. In fact, if I uncomment this first column and just leave out, comment only the alias of the second column, then I think things will be fine. Okay. So now we know that this error is being caused by the second alias, which is strange. Strange if we're not familiar with the whole list of Oracle reserved words, especially the more frequently used ones. So in this video, you are already learning that one of the SQL mistakes to avoid, be it Oracle or other flavors, is when we use a reserved word for purposes other than being used as a reserved word. Like in this case, I'm using the reserved word user. By the way, it's a reserved word in Oracle. I'm using it as an alias, so that is not allowed because it will cause confusion to the SQL engine. It will cause ambiguity, but really confusion. Right. So there's no way around this, but the only way to address this is either to comment out that confusing alias, which is exactly the same as a reserved word, or just use a new, different alias altogether, right? So back to this. If I'll uncomment this, then we'll be back to the same problem, right? So what I'm gonna do is you will just, if you still want to stick with this, that you cannot, so you can compromise and change the alias name a little bit so that it doesn't it isn't the same as a reserved word. So you can call it something user one or whatever you want to call it, user 555 or something, then it will work now. Again, the error we were getting is in fact could be confusing if you look at it, because it says from, nope, says from keyword not found where expected. Okay, so if you're a beginner in SQL, and even if you're not a beginner, but you are not familiar with certain reserved words, in this case, the reserved word called user, then you will be at a loss with this kind of error. But like I said, one technique is to isolate, and by commenting, maybe comment all the columns out, and then one by one uncomment them. Okay. So again, we solve this error by using a slightly different reserved, alias, so it doesn't have the same meaning or name as a reserved word. Okay. So in our case, we use some other alias. Okay. Again, it doesn't really matter if I use also the keyword as to say this is a reserved word. An alias. Because as is a keyword saying that the word that follows is an alias, but as is optional. So if I try this, you see, it still gives the error. So the as keyword, doesn't really solve the matter. The solution is to avoid using a reserved word as an alias or for any other purpose. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'll be seeing you in the next video.